Hey you guys, this is Jess with Sourceful Journey back with another video. So I'm having a moment here. I probably shouldn't be eating this, but I'm gonna eat it anyway. It's a Reese's cup. So good. I'm gonna eat it anyway. So I don't eat that many of them, but these are the ones I usually get. And I do have a craving for them, okay? They're so good. But I don't eat that many of them because I don't want them to mess with my teeth. You know, cavities, things like that. But I do. Once in a while it's okay. I'm gonna stop right there because I don't want it to affect my teeth. But one thing I would encourage people to start doing is definitely incorporating more water. I got so excited when I saw this. So this is the Essential. My favorite go-to, you guys. I love Essential water. I would love to get a year's supply of this. I would go bananas if I did. Wait, how many ounces? I'm going to try to finish this bottle before dinner time. It's 50.7 floor ounces. I don't know if you can just see that. See if I can, right there. Let's see if I can finish it up. So that'll be the plan for from now until about dinner time, maybe 6 or so. Anywho, make sure I get anything on my shirt. Okay, so I wanted to go ahead and talk with you guys here about the notion of why one should be careful. And I'm just, as always, looking at my notes. Be careful with who you speak on in slander, because your actions within itself can actually backfire on you in a bad way. Here's a message. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. So one should truly be careful with who you speak on, who you slander, because your actions can backfire like no other. What I mean by that. So think of it this way. Let's say you're an individual who just got out of a relationship with someone. Like maybe someone broke it off with you because they found out that you were cheating on them. And maybe you didn't like the way it ended. So you were angry, you were disgruntled, and you were like, you know what? I'm gonna find a way to make sure this person gets it. Whether, you know, you're the guy or you're the girl in the situation. Like, I'm gonna make sure my ex gets it, that they know how angry I am. I'm gonna go slander them on the internet. I'm gonna go slander them amongst my friends. I'm gonna post up anything that I may have taken up theirs, like any like photos or videos that I may have taken when we were together. I'm gonna really make sure they feel it and embarrass them. Try to embarrass them and see how they take that. Let's say you were that person. I'm gonna make sure that the entire world knows that they're like this. I'm gonna paint them in this image, even though I know within self that they're not, because after all, why would I be dealing with someone like that for X amount of years if they were truly like that person, right? Think about that. Follow me on this, guys. Let's say you were that person. And let's say, lo and behold, somehow that very individual may have not even heard anything from your end in quite some time, because after all, they were the one that broke it off with you, right? And let's say that individual chose to focus on other things because they felt like, you know what, there's too much else I could be focused on in this thing called life to even focus on the minute things such as an ex and their feelings. Let me just focus on doing me and the betterment of self at this point. And they're doing it in various ways. Let's say they decide to start dating again. Let's say they may have started their own business. Let's say they may be more sociable now. Like maybe they're, posting blogs. Maybe they're, I'm trying to think of other things. Maybe they're going out socializing, like going to group events, like bowling or traveling with groups, or maybe they're posting on social media, whatever the case may be. Maybe they're just being social, sociable. Excuse me. They're being more sociable, if you will. All right. Now follow me on this. And somehow you got wind of it, and others that you may have shared those details with, those false details with, right? they got wind of it too. And they're saying, wait, what this person is doing and saying is not matching up with what Joan or Joe has said about them from the beginning. The very thing that you speak on when it comes to, slandering or talking about an individual in such a harsh way with false details, just because you're disgruntled because they broke it off with you, it's going to backfire on you, because the people that actually listened to you from the beginning, when they actually see that it's not lining up with how this person is actually portraying themselves on this end, that's going to make you look bad as an individual, because it's like, okay, you fed us a bunch of bullshit. Are you guys following me on this? It's one of those things that actions speak louder than words. Thank you. I had to think about that. Actions speak louder than words. So if you're telling people that an individual is like A, B, and C, but they can obviously see that that individual is nothing like that A, B, and C, but more so like a D, E, and F, compared to what you were stating or putting out there, it's going to make you look like the idiot, because you said they made up a false image about an individual just because they broke it off with you, rather than just leaving things where they be and moving on with your life. I can tell you the number of times where I've heard these stories happen, where people say, I broke it off with so-and-so. Like I mentioned to you guys in the previous video, I had a few girlfriends that I went to college with. There were like maybe two of them that I can think of. Two? I don't think it was three. I'm pretty sure it was two that I can recall, where they told me two separate stories where they were in relationship with individuals, and then they broke it off. And one that turned out pretty bad, because this young lady, she was engaged without saying her name to the guy, and they never fell through in terms of getting married. So he was upset. He released footage of when they were in their intimate acts and all that. But to make long story short, what happened with that part is because she took him to the cleaners, cleaned him out financially, but he also got locked up. Is it really worth getting through all that BS and submitting all that stuff online and slandering a person? Is it really worth it? Putting your livelihood on the line just because you're mad because somebody broke it off with you because they found out you were lying to them about being in another relationship with someone else? It shouldn't be. It should never be that serious. People fail to realize that the times are different now. It's not as easy as being a keyboard warrior. Oh, there's no way they're going to find out that I'm the one that's posting this stuff up. We have too much going on in terms of technology, and definitely with the powers that be, i.e. the alphabet boys, where they can actually look into that stuff if they need to. Even with our police force has an entire IT division that can look into information like that. They can dig deep and find out where the IP address is coming from and everything. Why would you subject yourself to that? That possibility of being locked up, and the possibility of you getting hit with huge fines if it ever gets back to that individual. Think about that. It's going to cause a whole entire ball of confusion for you, because once that other individual finds out that you're doing all that nonsense, slandering them and all that, do you honestly think they're going to even want to deal with you again? Let's start there. Do you think they would even want to give you another chance? I think we both know the answer to that, right? Don't be foolish. Furthermore, when you think about all that you put out there and all that you're doing just to try to slander a person because they broke it off with you, just because they found out that you were in fact cheating behind their back, right? Don't think for one that the very individuals that you lied to are going to be on your side at the end of the day either. If anything, they're probably like laughing at you behind closed doors, thinking you're a complete nut for even putting this amount of time and energy into doing things like this towards an individual that has not done anything to you since they broke it off with you. Whether it's a man that broke it off with the girl, or a woman that broke it off with the guy. Whatever the situation may be, the example I'm trying to drive home here is that while they're moving on, living their best life, you are over there sulking because of the fact that you just got busted in an act that you thought you had well covered up, and that they would never know that you were doing behind their back. It should never, ever be that serious. So I say all that to say, be careful with who you speak on or who you slander. especially if they're one that does not go out to seek drama. If they're truly one that focuses on the notion of staying in their lane and not giving a damn about what, who, what, when, where, whatever is going on in terms of outside of their circle, their bubble. If they're out there doing their own thing and not giving a damn about anything and everything that's around them because they're choosing to stay in their own lane and doing what makes them better, you should just leave it alone. Leave it as just that. Take it as a sign that, okay, this person obviously does not want anything to do with me. And God forbid, if it ever gets back to them that I did this, because they're really not going to want to have anything to do with me. Sure enough. But in my opinion, it'll be a little too late, because now, in this case, you're going to have to deal with them. You're going to have to deal with them on a deeper scale. Because now they're going to more than likely take your ass to court. And on top of that, as I mentioned in the previous scenario, they're going to probably end up taking you to the cleaners while making sure you get locked up and get the highest sentence known to man for the acts that you've done. So it kind of goes back to that old saying, you made your bed, now you got to sleep in it. I wouldn't want to be that person. Life is too short. You know, one thing I honestly feel is that if you truly cared about the individual, whoever it may be, whether it's the guy that I'm talking to right now or the woman who may have got dumped, if you truly cared about that individual, you would not have committed the act. Plain and simple. There's no excuse behind it. What's that old saying? Calling a spade a spade. At the end of the day, once one has chosen to sever ties or step away from a situation, leave it as just that. As I mentioned to you guys in the previous video, don't go back seeking vengeance. Because do you realize that person you're doing it to may have an entire spiritual team behind them, backing them, waiting to take your ass down. You do not want to fuck with that. I'm also saying that because I'm saying that from a sense of knowing. A sense of knowing. Just treat people the way you want to be treated and continue to move forward. As I mentioned in another previous video. That is all for today's video, you guys. So again, I always like to point out, again, be careful with what you say in terms of speaking things into existence in your own life, but also be careful with what you say in terms of speaking on other people as well. If anything, try to avoid that part because, again, who are we to judge, right? So try to avoid that. Avoid the slander. Avoid the gossip, because, again, in some way or another, it'll hook you in the worst way. And especially if you're around people, let's talk about it. If you're ever around people, let's say at work or in other environments where they do this gossip about the next door neighbor or the co-worker in the next cubicle across the way, avoid those type of scenarios too, because we all know, and I hope we all know, that when those type of things happen, and if you're in the bunch, in some way or another, word's going to get out, and somehow you're going to be looped into it as if, oh, so-and-so said that about you, not me. Don't get caught up. Avoid that if you can in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Avoid that shit. I've seen that play out too many times. Oh my gosh. And I always talk about what that show called The Office. That's why I think I love The Office so much, because I think any of us who've been in that type of environment, we know you probably watched the show and you could see certain characters on the show. They kind of remind you of a certain someone you work with. And so, yeah, it kind of reminds me of that whole environment. And so, again, I've seen that play out over the years, and I'm just like, they should have stayed away from that group, those two over there, because I knew from the moment I saw them, like, they're going to loop her into some ish. And it's going to end up being a ball of confusion and a lot of arguing, and I've seen it play out plenty of times. And, some people would think that, even back then, when I was in that space, like, oh, she's stuck up, she thinks she's this, she thinks she's that, and especially being one of the top players on my team that I was on at that time. Looking back at it in hindsight, I don't give a damn if they even thought I was stuck up or not. Whatever. But it worked out in my favor because I was able to steer away from those conversations, those points of gossip. And no one could ever say, Jessica said this, Jessica said that. So, stuck up or not, avoid it at all costs. That is all for today's quick video here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Also, consultations are open, so definitely take advantage if it is something that is of interest to you. I wanted to point out, if you have any issues with the calendar, just message me or email me. A lot of you have been doing that, which is why we were able to move forward with our appointments, so definitely keep that going, you guys. I think the calendar should be fine, but again, I'm thinking about just saying, you know, if you want to just set up a time, I might just go ahead and put up like some type of template or something where you guys can see like the typical schedule layout that I have, and then you can kind of go from there. I might do something like that, but you shouldn't have any issues with the schedule system online, so definitely take advantage. Also, for those who are not aware, I do partake in keynote speaking as well as motivational speaking, so that is my field house for sure. If it is something that you'd like for me to do in terms of speaking at an event that maybe your organization is putting together, again, have someone from your organization to reach out to me. We have to go over the details accordingly and how to get that squared away. I definitely want to go ahead and end this video here, and as always, I will speak to you guys in the next video. Be blessed.